When we think of the SCP Foundation, we imagine dangerous SCP monsters, and for good reason. There are hundreds of hostile creatures that appear very frightening. However, there are exceptions, and some anomalies even appear as something we normally perceive as innocent and harmless, children. So what kind of kids are to be found in the SCP Wiki? In this SCP Exploration episode, we present our list of the top 5 SCP Children. Also, we created a second channel called SCP Comics, where we showcase entertaining comic stories about SCPs, so if you find this interesting, check out the new episode and subscribe if you want to see more. Number 5. SCP-191. Object Class Safe. When we think of SCP Children, we imagine kids that have superhuman powers. Unfortunately, with SCP-191, this isn't the case. 191 is a little girl that was the test subject of several experimental surgeries. As a result, 80% of her face has been removed, and a universal transceiver has been installed instead. The girl has a built-in air filtration device, and as a result, she is incapable of speech. Furthermore, a device has been planted into her forearm, which contains interfaces like USB, Ethernet, Firewire, and others. A processor has been implanted in the brain, allowing SCP-191 to read and write computer data. Also, the child's lungs, heart, and blood vessels have been replaced with mechanical analogs, which can allow 191's body to be restarted after death. Unsurprisingly, the girl avoids eye contact, and all attempts to induce a cheerful mood have proven fruitless. However, despite these signs, SCP-191 is still in good mental health and claims she is feeling fine. The girl seems to have no memory of her past before the operations, but in the experiment logs, we see a few hints. When connected to a computer running Microsoft Paint, 191 was able to create indistinguishable copies of any photograph. And after the test, the girl continued to draw, and when questioned about this, stated that she had not realized she was still drawing. One of the pictures depicted SCP personnel pointing guns at a man that is about to commit suicide. This man was later identified as the doctor that had conducted the surgeries. Another painting showed an adult and a child trick-or-treating, and the girl is wearing makeup similar to the makeup worn by the main character in Frankenstein. So we see that even though SCP-191 has no conscious recollection of her past, she can unconsciously remember episodes of her time before the operation. Unfortunately, the logs don't reveal enough information to piece together the whole story, but it is possible that she may have had some sort of connection to the doctor. And even though the story of SCP-191 is definitely tragic, we must include her in the top children SCPs list because of how interesting she is. Number 4. SCP-231. Object Class Keter. In general, kids contained by the Foundation should be taken good care of. They are children, after all. However, not all SCP children are so fortunate, and some, like SCP-231, are experiencing terrible things in the agency's containment. As we know, SCP-231 is one of 7 females that were retrieved from a raid on the Children of the Scarlet King, a satanic SCP cult. At the point of discovery, all girls were pregnant, and soon after, the first one gave birth to an SCP, which resulted in hundreds of casualties. All remaining girls were contained right away, and a procedure was devised, which was to prevent the remaining 6 brides from giving birth. The agency tried to remove the fetus from the second girl, but once again, this instantly caused a deadly outbreak. They decided to stick to the protocol, called Procedure 110-Montauk, but they were not strict enough because the girl killed herself, and once again disaster struck. The 4th girl was given SCP-500, which as we know cures all diseases, and this eliminated the fetus, but remaining residue still caused casualties. The 5th girl gave birth as a result of false implementation of the procedure, and the 6th girl tried to escape and was terminated, both cases causing disaster once again. And as you probably know, it is widely believed that should the 7th bride give birth, an XK class end of the world scenario will occur. But SCP-231 is one of those wiki articles that aren't very precise and can be interpreted in different ways. In the file, it is stated that the procedure is a horrible, inhumane torture, but some of the theories speak otherwise. In one SCP tale, it is stated that the procedure is only described as horrific, and actually includes reading a bedtime story to the girl, and the widespread placebo effect of what everyone thinks the procedure is what prevents the XK class event from occurring. Another theory, backed up by another SCP tale, claims that the Foundation already let the 7th girl give birth. However, the story of SCP-231 is very complex and intertwines with the story of the Scarlet King and at least 2 other SCPs, and there is a lot to talk about, too much for this video, so we will have to explore it in another episode. One thing is certain though, SCP-231 is one of the biggest mysteries in the Foundation, and this definitely earns it a spot amongst the best children in the Foundation. Number 3. SCP-053. Object Class Euclid. Let's be real, we all saw this one coming. SCP-053, the little girl that kept the hard-to-destroy reptile calm and even played around with 6A2. And even though this isn't the first time the lizard has been friendly towards an anomaly, as we've seen from the 6A2 and 079 interaction, it is the first and probably the last time an innocent-looking little girl has played around with the reptile. But 053's looks are deceptive, because as we know, when a human makes physical or eye contact with her, or simply remains around 053 for longer than 10 minutes, this individual will rapidly become paranoid and homicidal. As a result, the individual will attempt to kill the girl after first killing all humans in the area. However, as this person attempts to kill 053, he or she will suffer a massive heart attack and die in seconds. And to top things off, SCP-053 ignores all affected subjects, and when questioned about its effect, does not provide any answer. So as we notice, SCP-6A2 behaved in the exact opposite way a normal individual would behave when exposed to SCP-053. But why? Well, there are a lot of possible reasons. The first theory claims that 6A2 used this moment to trick the Foundation into thinking it is in a calm state, so that it can easily escape when the staff try to remove SCP-053. Another possibility is that the lizard's calmed state is a result of 6A2's adaptive capabilities that help it deal with threats in the best way possible. And it's also possible that SCP-6A2 simply admired 053's anomalous effects so much that it decided not to attack it, just as it was friendly towards SCP-079. But unfortunately, we don't have time to fully uncover why in this video, but we may explore this in another episode. Regardless, if a child manages to calm SCP-6A2 down and even play with the lizard, then it definitely deserves a spot on our top 5 SCP Children list. Number 2. SCP-2599. Object Class Euclid. Now that we've explored some of the more atypical SCP Children, it's time for something a bit more stereotypical. SCP-2599 is a girl of Korean descent. The child's primary anomalous effect is the fact that she is unable to disobey any direct commands. This effect has no known limits, and 2599 has followed orders including self-harm, violence towards others, and more. Her secondary anomalous effect is her inability to fully carry out any command. She fulfills most aspects of a command, but is unable to complete all requested components of a command. However, This is not motivated out of rebellion, because SCP-2599 has been unable to complete commands even when it has wished to do so. Once she is ordered to perform something, she is no longer capable of successfully completing it in the future, even if she was previously capable of doing so. However, this effect can be overridden with a successive command. But perhaps the most interesting thing about 2599 are some of the experiments performed. On one occasion, the girl was ordered to attack SCP-682 until it is 200% dead. The girl fought 682 for 42 minutes, at the end of which 3 of the lizard's limbs had been severed, its thorax had been crushed, and both its eyeballs had been ruptured. The girl then seized the lizard's head in preparation for ripping it off. In response, 682 said, "Kill me, you sack of organs, do it." The girl then immediately released the reptile and stood still until the girl was taken away. And in another test, SCP-2599 was given a command that consisted of a paradox. Immediately after, the temperature in the room was raised several degrees, Korean-speaking rabbits appeared out of nowhere, and the floor was converted into a blanket. This went on until the girl was ordered to fall asleep. It is clear that SCP-2599 is a unique case of a reality bender, one that is very powerful but can only fulfill orders. As for the SCP-682 test, it is believed that the "kill me" order took precedence over the abstract "attack until it is 200% dead", which led to the outcome we mentioned. So as we see, in the SCP Foundation, anomalies must not be judged by their looks, because as we saw with SCP-2599, in the SCP Wiki, a little girl can almost kill the hard-to-destroy reptile. Number 1. SCP-239. Object Class Keter. As we've seen so far, in the SCP Wiki, children are capable of astounding things. But SCP-239 definitely beats all previous entries. The subject is a small girl that emits an undiscovered form of radiation that seems to be harmless in low concentrations, but in higher doses can break down matter on a subatomic level. But most importantly, SCP-239 has the ability to do whatever she expresses a will to do. Put simply, the girl can do anything she truly wants to as long as she is conscious. Fortunately, she can only influence objects that she sees. SCP-239 can also affect living matter, and on one occasion, when a D-Class personnel accidentally harmed her, she simply wished him away. As expected, the girl's self-preservation instinct makes her virtually invincible while she is conscious, but if left unharmed, the girl's powers aren't a threat. This is because she has been told that she is a witch, which not only improves her morale, but also makes her believe that she is unable to use her abilities outside of a pre-approved list of spells. And up to now, this has prevented her from escaping. Nevertheless, good care is to be taken of SCP-239 in order to prevent any subconscious wish of harm to herself or others. Interactions with the SCP Witch can have unexpected consequences, especially when the topic of conversation is fictional. This became evident when someone talked to her about Santa Claus and told her this was just a story, which may or may not have created another magical SCP. But not everyone in the SCP agency is convinced that SCP-239 is as fun as the last story suggests. Dr. Clef has even proposed to terminate the girl himself, claiming that she is way too dangerous to be kept in containment. And even though this may seem very harsh, it is definitely reasonable, considering the fact that SCP-239 can wish the entire SCP Foundation away if it wants to. And in the end, we see that looks don't matter one bit when it comes to the SCP Foundation, because an innocent-looking little girl turns out to be more powerful than most of the SCP monsters in the Wiki. This concludes our list of the top 5 SCP children. So what do you think? Which one of these SCP children is the most capable? And are these kids more powerful than, let's say, SCP-682 and SCP-343? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, as we have many more interesting SCP videos coming up. And if this video gets 3000 likes, we will make part 2 right away. And as always, we will see you in the next video.